Really hoping that this is another 5 stars for me. I don't think I'm going to have any strong opinions on it by the time I get to the end. It wasn't at all what I was expecting. Welcome to the first reading vlog of 2025, not 2024, which I said in the first intro that I tried to film for this vlog. It's currently Monday, the 6th of January, and I am ready to start my first reading vlog of 2025, not 2024. In this reading vlog, I am going to be reading translated Japanese fiction. So if you watched my January TBR, then you'll know that I have 2 books on my TBR this month that were originally published in Japanese. So we have Butter by Asako Yuzuki and The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arakawa. You can probably see my bookmark. I have already started this one. This is a collection of short stories and I have read the first one and it's already made me cry, so we're off to a good start. This is the same author who wrote the Travelling Cat Chronicles, one of my favourite books of all time, and from what I gather, this short story collection is basically about these different people, these different families who own cats, and it's about how cats become part of our families. Yeah, very glad that I'm finally picking this up because I think I bought this a couple of years ago after I read the Travelling Cat Chronicles properly. It's also signed by the author and I just love the illustration on the front cover. It's also on the inside as well, if you can see that. Really hoping that this is another 5 stars for me. So I think I'm probably going to read a short story a day because I think there's 7 short stories in this. I might have got that wrong. My plan is to read a short story a day and then I will finish it by the end of this week. The next book that I plan on picking up is Butter by Asako Yuzuki. This looks a lot bigger than it actually is. I had a look earlier and it's only about 450 pages, which is quite long, I guess, for a thriller. However, I don't think it's that long in general for a book. I'm currently also reading Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erickson, which is the first book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series, and that book is, I think, 600 pages. So 450 pages of a thriller doesn't actually seem that intimidating to me. So yeah, I am gonna hopefully start this one as well, maybe tonight. I have managed to find the audiobook on BookBeat, so I'm probably gonna listen to this while reading it with my eyeballs and do like an immersion reading. My mum got me this for Christmas, I should have said as well, and I'm really glad that I'm picking it up quite quickly because usually when my family buy me books, I love them and I feel really excited to pick up these books, but it takes me years and then I just feel more and more guilty. I still have books on my TBR from 4 years ago. Brownie points for me for picking this up so quickly. So yeah, those are the 2 books that I'm going to be prioritising in this vlog. I have also checked out Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. Can't remember the author's name, but I've checked that out from my library on audio. So if I get a chance, then I could listen to that. It's only a few hours, but I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks at the moment. In terms of my non-reading plans this week, my dad is coming around for dinner tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. He actually flies home. He lives in the US for anyone who's new here. He has been visiting for the past month or so, since before Christmas, and he flies home, I think on Friday or Saturday. So I want to try and spend some time with him this week before he flies back. I think that's it actually. I don't think I have anything planned this weekend. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be a nice, productive reading week. Hi everyone, it's a few days later and I wanted to pop in with some reading updates. I've already filmed this update once and I'm refilming it because for some reason recently the focus on my camera has been a little bit dodgy. It started off with just some random flickering where it would go in and out of focus, then it would get back to normal and it would be fine, but recently it started doing that and then it's just got stuck out of focus. And because when I'm talking to the camera I'm not looking at the viewfinder, so I'm not noticing when it's doing this, but I wanted to check in with you with my reading updates on the books that I'm currently reading. So I have now read the first 3 or 4 short stories in The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arakawa and I'm liking this, but the first short story is still my favourite and now I'm getting nervous that I'm not going to enjoy the rest as much. So that first short story was following this family who adopt a kitten when their youngest son is still quite young, and so you see the bond that forms between this cat and this young boy as the boy grows up, and it's also speculating on cat behaviour and trying to find reasons for why why cats have certain quirks. For example, at the start of the book, you see this cat dip its paw into, I think it's soy sauce, and then it walks all over the tablecloth, and the family are thinking, why are you doing this? And because you get the cat's point of view, you understand its thought processes. And I think that's why I loved the first short story, because it does have the cat's perspective, and the other short stories have just focused on the humans. So the second short story was about this couple, and the guy adopts a kitten right before they have a baby. So the wife goes away, and when she comes back, she finds out that her husband has adopted this kitten. And it's about how the process of looking after this kitten makes him feel more prepared for being a father. That was interesting. I could understand what the short story was trying to say, but it didn't really have much of an emotional impact on me. And then the third short story, I don't even know what that was. It was only like 20 pages long, but it was about a family where the father is not very likable, but for some reason cats adore him. That seemed to be it, and I don't really understand what it was trying to say. But yeah, the fourth short story that I'm reading right now is fine. It's about a boy whose mother passed away a couple of years ago, and his dad has remarried, and he's struggling to connect with his stepmom, but they go away on this vacation to Cat Island, and I think it's going to be about them growing closer, or at least starting to understand each other. So I feel like I am going to enjoy that one. And then the final two stories, I think there's only two more after this, maybe three, but I've noticed that the last few short stories are a little bit longer, so hopefully I'll connect with them better. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. I do like Hiro Arakawa's writing. Hopefully I will enjoy this overall. And then I did also start the audiobook for Days at the Morisaki Bookshop, and I've just looked up the name of the author, but I've forgotten it, so I will double check that again now. Okay, the author is Satoshi Yagisawa. I will put the picture of the front cover on the screen so you can see, because I don't own a physical copy of this, but this so far has been okay. I like the audiobook. It's very engaging, and because it's told in first person POV, it does feel like I'm listening to the main character narrate the story. So I'm trying to separate my thoughts on the audiobook from the actual story itself, because the audiobook is really easy to listen to, but the story itself I'm not liking as much. It feels very mundane. It's about this woman who, in the very first chapter, she finds out that her boyfriend is engaged to someone else, and because they work together, she has to quit her job, and she sinks into this depressive episode until her uncle gets in touch with her and asks her if she'd like to come and live and work in his bookshop. So I was expecting this to be about this bookshop, and it kind of is, but also it's not really focusing on that as much as I would like. You're basically just following this main character through her day-to-day life, and it's just not being that interesting, and it's just, again, not really having much of an emotional impact on me. So I am going to finish it because I'm about halfway through and I'm liking it so far. As I've already said, the audiobook is really easy to listen to, so I'll give you a final update on that once I finished it, but it's feeling like a solid 3 stars at the moment. I don't think I'm going to have any strong opinions on it by the time I get to the end. I haven't started Butter yet. I've been wanting to all week, but I'm still trying to finish off the other book that I was reading that's not for this vlog. So once I finish that, I will get stuck into Butter, and I will let you know once I have some thoughts on it. Hi everyone, happy Saturday. I have just finished filming my entire own TBR video for 2024, which I think is going to be the video going live either just before or just after this one, so look out for that. I need to put away a load of books because I am surrounded right now, but before then I thought I would check in with you because I have now finished the 2 books that I was reading at the start of this week, and I've left one of them in the other room, so I'll be right back. Actually, the first book that I wanted to talk about was Days at the Morisaki Bookshop, which which I don't own physically because I own it on, well, I don't own it, I have it through BookBeat, but I listened, no, it wasn't even BookBeat, I listened to it through my library. Where is my brain at today? I did like this audiobook. I thought it was very quiet and understated, but also it didn't really make me feel what I was expecting to. I felt like this dealt with a lot of deep and emotional topics. However, the way that it approached these topics, it felt very surface level in comparison to other books that I've read. The way that the book is structured, it feels like two short stories. So you have this first half where you're introduced to this main character and you're following her as she begins working in this bookshop. And I thought it was going to be more about her working in the bookshop, and I thought it was going to be more about her discovering a love of books, and it is, but also not really. The second half is then also following this main character still, but it's more about her uncle's relationship with his wife or ex-wife because she left several years ago, and it was handling these deep topics. It was basically about why they ended up breaking up or why this woman left him, and I feel like these two short stories should have been books in themselves. So I don't think I'm going to pick up the sequel to this, which is called More Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. I would still recommend it if it's been on your radar for a while. I don't regret reading it or anything. I just don't think it's going to have a lasting impression on me in comparison to the other book that I finished last night, which made me sob. The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arakawa. I think I last updated you when I was about halfway through, and the first short story in this was really good, but the last two short stories, oh my goodness, I cried so much. I think it's because the last two short stories do have a connection to the Travelling Cat Chronicles, so up until that point you could read this as a standalone or without having read the Travelling Cat Chronicles, but those last two short stories I wouldn't recommend reading until afterwards. This book is really about how cats impact us as humans, and I think if you love cats and if you're prepared to have your heart broken, then I thought this had some beautiful messaging, and there were some parts that, like I said, made me cry. It was the final line in the final story. I'm getting upset just thinking about it, so yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but if you've read the Travelling Cat Chronicles, then I think it is really worth reading this short story collection. Very happy to be giving this 4 stars. Some of these short stories were 5 stars though. Hi everyone, happy Monday. I thought I would check in with you because I have made a start on Butter by Asako Yuzuki. I finally got around to starting this last night. I am 70 pages in and I'm liking it so far. I don't think this is going to be a thriller though. To me at the moment it feels more like a contemporary. We're following this woman who is a journalist. Her name is Rika and she's working on this story about a serial killer. So there was this woman who has been accused and convicted of murdering 3 men that she met through a dating app, and some of them were quite significantly older than her, and so there's been a lot of media attention around this case and she is now challenging her conviction. One of the main reasons why there's been so much media attention around her is because before she was arrested she was writing a food blog where she was talking about her love of food and sharing various recipes and things like that. So our main character has been trying to get an interview with this woman for ages and she's not been having much luck until one of her friends suggests changing her approach, and so she writes her a letter and instead of asking her about the case she asks her for her recipe for beef stew, and they end up meeting. She agrees to meet the journalist and the story is kind of going from there. I feel like this is going to have a lot of social commentary and also commentary on culture in Japan. The way that the media has spoken about this woman is there's been a lot of disbelief and misogyny. Do you want to give a content warning for that? Because some of the ways that this woman is spoken about, it's not that the book is fatphobic, but there are characters in this book who are making fatphobic comments, and I feel like this is going to have some interesting commentary. So I am enjoying it so far, but yeah, it's not really giving thriller vibes. It's not even giving horror vibes. There has been quite a lot of discussion around food as well and descriptions of food, and this main character is essentially discovering a love of food for the first time because she's always not really prioritized food. Like, she works a busy job and so she usually just grabs convenience food. However, from talking to this other woman, she's starting to appreciate food for the first time, and the descriptions have made me quite hungry. There's a lot of evocative language, which is just making me want to eat lots of buttery goodness. So yeah, it has captured my attention in the first 70 pages, and I am excited to see what direction this goes in. I am having one of those days where something came up with work this morning that I obviously wasn't expecting to have to deal with, and so my whole morning has just been thrown out of whack and my brain is all over the place. I also think I forgot to mention I'm going to Liverpool this weekend. I'm only going up for the day tomorrow. It's one of my friend's birthdays, so we're meeting up in the afternoon. We're doing an escape room, and then we're also going out for some lunch. So yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend. It's probably going to be a busy day today. The reason I didn't mention I was going to Liverpool this weekend is because I thought I would have this vlog finished by now, but I'm still reading Butter by Asako Yuzuki. I am around halfway through, probably not even halfway through, probably more like 48% of the way through. I am listening to the audiobook for this while reading it physically. I am still liking it, however, I don't understand why this book is so long. I feel like I should be at a point where I'd be wrapping up this book by now and we'd be reaching some kind of conclusion, but no, we're still plodding on. I still have half a book to go. It's been quite uncomfortable in places, like some of the language choices feel like the author is deliberately trying to get a reaction from you, and I quite like that feeling, even though yeah, it has been quite uncomfortable. It's not been what I was expecting, because I think going into this I thought it would be about this journalist writing this story and trying to uncover the secrets behind this case. It's not really that. Like, I am finding the relationship between these two characters fascinating. I'm going to remind myself of their names. So Rika is our journalist main character, and then Manako Kaji is the woman who is in prison. The more that they interact, the more that Rika is becoming obsessed with Kaji, and it's not the obsession that I was expecting. It's almost like she's admiring her. I don't know whether I'm like reading too much into this, but I'm kind of getting sapphic vibes as well. They actually have very opposing views on certain things. So Manako Kaji is someone who believes in traditional gender roles, but then it also seems like she doesn't really care about men, even though she was arrested and accused of conning these men that she was dating. She almost comes across as a snob, and she likes the finer things in life, whereas our main character, the journalist, she doesn't think that she ever wants to get married or have kids, and she, as we go through the book, starts to maybe not change her mind on certain things, but she's starting to, I guess, empathize with this other woman. It's really difficult because it feels like this book is trying to say a lot, and it's very thought-provoking. Not that I agree with certain things, but it's just, yeah, it's making me think a lot, and I am enjoying this dynamic. So I think my prediction at this point is that it's going to be a 4 stars. I don't think it's going to be a 5. There was a point near the beginning where I was thinking, yes, this is giving me 5-star feelings. However, I think this is going to start to drag because it's already dragging, and I can't believe I still have half a book left. I think I am going to take my camera to Liverpool tomorrow. I'm probably not going to film much when I'm with my friends, but because it was cheaper to get the train at 7:30 in the morning, I'm going to get to Liverpool a few hours early, so I might go and find a cafe to sit and read for a while. I am going to try and finish this over the weekend, but I'm also currently listening to a different audiobook, which I'm probably going to prioritise because I've been listening to that purely on audio, whereas with this I like to read and listen at the same time, and I don't think I want to take the book with me. We'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow, but hopefully the next time I check in with you I will have finished Butter. Hi everyone, it is almost time to wrap up this vlog because I have now finished Butter. If I can just grab it. I have now finished Butter by Asako Yuzuki, and I liked this. I finished it on the train home from Liverpool last night, and my immediate reaction to the end was, that was interesting. It wasn't at all what I was expecting. So this, I think, is being marketed as some kind of thriller. If you look at the front cover, you see these red fingerprints here, and you assume that it's going to get violent, it's going to get bloody, and that it's going to be really dark and disturbing, and it is uncomfortable. Like, there's definitely some uncomfortable imagery. I would describe this as a contemporary literary fiction. It's about societal pressure and loneliness, and I did think it approached those themes well, especially because I'm not that familiar, or I'm not at all familiar with the culture in Japan. I was reading it and I was thinking, okay, like, I see what the author is trying to say here. The characterization I thought was done well. There were moments where I felt one way about a character and then I changed my mind, and I liked the way that that was done and how it was almost keeping me on my toes, because I didn't know how I was going to feel about any of these characters by the end of the book. If I haven't said so already, I would give a strong content warning for anything to do with food. If you have any triggers related to body image or things like that, then do not read this book. I found it, like I said, really uncomfortable in places. Parts of this touched on humans' relationship with food and how we think about food, how food influences the way that we interact with other people. I feel like it would be really triggering to some people, especially there's some fat phobia in this directed at various characters. Not that the book was fat phobic, but just there are characters in this being fat phobic. So yeah, an interesting book. I feel like it was a memorable read, but also, am I going to be thinking about this in 6 months' time? Maybe. I did like the audiobook. I don't know whether I would have enjoyed listening to this without the physical copy, but yeah, the audiobook was decent. So 4 stars, and I feel like that is a good place to wrap up this reading vlog, which I have been filming for way longer than I was expecting, but that's how things go sometimes. The next reading vlog that you should see from me will probably be, so the next reading vlog that I'm planning to film is reading new thriller releases, so that should be coming at some point in the next few weeks. Otherwise, I am going to say thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye.